Hello, everyone. This is the OLM Upstream Working Group and Issue Triage meeting. Today is September 5th, 2023, and we have a rather light agenda for the day. So let's get started. First of all, taking a look at the briefs that we have under review. We have the OLM V1 documentation brief that was brought up 2 weeks ago. Last week. That's still in progress and has its consensus date by the end of the week. Would anyone like to speak to that?
I think that's it. If anybody has any comments or wants to review it, September 8th is the lazy consensus date. That should be enough, I think.
Okay, thank you, Alec. Then we have among our discussion topics, we have the call for papers for KubeCon EU 2024 that opens on September 18th. Yeah, I seen Joe bring this up in the upstream Slack channel. Thanks for pointing this out, Alex. Do we need to speak to this at all?
I have nothing to share. If you want to be involved, just comment on the thread that Joe started. I'll link it in the agenda for visibility.
Yeah, awesome. In that case, we can skip right to our milestone check-in. So starting with catalog D, we have the 0.6 milestone that's still in progress. Would anyone like to speak to the state of this?
Yes. The PR that implements the storage merged end of last week. There were two issues that was being solved or fixed by that PR. So one of them is 113. The other one is, I think, part of the closed, if you look at closed, but I think I just got back from the weekend, so I'll have to take my time to clean up that issue too. Yeah, the catalog storage interface. So that is in, and then if you navigate to the open issues, 113 is also closed. I'll just take some time after this meeting to close that one out. And the other two are unblocked and in progress. So I'll also take some time to clean up the blocked labels and stuff. So the report is there's good momentum and should be done soon.
That's excellent. Bryce, you had something you wanted to say? Bryce, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. Yeah, so I was just say 113 was closed when that PR merged, but I ended up reopening it because the scope of that issue was also the HTTP server implementation, which I believe there's still a work in progress PR up for. But if I reopened it saying that we can create a new issue if we wanted, or I think there was a Slack thread where it was mentioned or something like that. But we can create a new issue if we want to specifically track the HTTP server stuff. But I figured since it also included the scope in this, I'd reopen it and the work in progress PR to close this issue.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm easy either way. I think that means that we'll have to at least clean up the title of the issue, but makes sense. We can do that.
Okay. If that was all, we can move on to the operator controller milestone. next. And yeah, would you like to speak to this, Alex or Daniel or anyone interested? We have quite a few issues closed already.
Yeah, so hi, Ankia. I don't know, Daniel's not here, and I don't know that I'm qualified to give the update here, but as far as I know, the PR associated with this issue is in draft mode, and Mikolai has agreed to work with Daniel to make sure that we get it over the line by September 8th. So whether or not we hit that goal, we'll see. We'll just move it to the next milestone if we don't land it, but definitely actively being worked on.
Well, that's great to hear. And finally, we have Ruckpack. And is Joachim here?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you want to speak to this?
Well, I'm working on implementing the bundle deployment health. I will need to pick a couple more, well, one issue more, because I'm implementing the full feature instead of doing it by parts, because it's at the end of the day, it's easier to see it working than implementing parts separated. So I have a small locally running it and more or less half of it implemented. I hope to be able to have it by the end of the week or so.
Yes, and that will end up closing both these along with one more issue that
Yes.
we have. And that's excellent. Yeah, and I think that's everything on our agenda. Does anyone have anything that they want? Oh, yeah, Joe, go ahead.
So I just added a new discussion topic. Andy and I have been trying to work on an improved GitHub project view. So this is not official yet. We're still sort of a work in progress and trying to figure out how this should work. But it looks like we might have a way to make it easier to show progress across multiple projects, where you don't have to figure out how to share milestone names and stuff like that. So I just wanted to sort of say, like, here's what we've got so far. Definitely still work in progress. If anybody has ideas or opinions, we can chat about it in the upstream Slack. The other thing I wanted to call out is that as part of this, I went and made a bunch of epic issues that have an epic label that tied directly to all of the work that we've planned in our briefs and RFCs. So if you're working on individual tasks, I tried to find everything that I could and linked it up to those. But if you're creating more things under those epics, or there's other things that you know that exist that I couldn't find, that's a good place to put it, because then that has the visibility for, you know, everything that we're theoretically working on. So I just want to make that more apparent to anybody that didn't see this stuff going on in the background.
So then what you're asking for is that everyone have the, you know, the label that you're looking for.
I think the main thing is they've all the epic labels, I think, or so let me back out. There's two things here really. One is like, here's this project view, and like this maybe helps us track things better. Separately, here's this new idea for how to like keep our work tracked in terms of like how to group things with the briefs and RFCs that we write. So for that specifically, I think that's probably less controversial and more helpful in terms of an organization perspective. I think I've got all of the task list issues created, and we put an epic label on them. So that should be all good. The thing that I'm asking for is, if you've like, go and find the task list issue, for the work that you're doing and make sure all of the issues that need to be in that issue are in that issue. And if you create new issues, then put them in there. And then the last little bit, like if there's scope creep, that's when, like, rather than just throw something in the list, let's talk about that first, right? Like we don't want to just keep throwing more stuff that's not part of the original scope there. So the intention here is like this captures the scope of what's in the brief. If you need more issues to capture, like to capture work that needs to be done within the existing scope, yeah, definitely keep adding them into those epic lists. If you have more work that you discover that might need to happen, then let's talk about it before we add it. Does that all sound reasonable?
Well, this is a great thing that we definitely need to have more discussion on. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up, Joe. I do like the view in general, just more easier representation of how each item is planned for its time. But yeah, does anyone else want to speak to that? Okay, if that's everything that we have on our agenda, is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up? I'll take that as a no. So I have one last thing that I want to ask, which is, would anyone like to host the next upstream working group meeting?
I can do it.
Thanks. I'll copy, I'll add you to the next meeting host list, I suppose. And thank you for joining, everyone. I think we can call the meeting here. Thanks for attending and have a great day.
Thanks again.